My father called his affair son, the child he always wanted. I made him lose both families. My dad was always this larger-than-life guy who coached my little league team and never missed a school play. He'd wake up at 5 to make me pancakes shaped like dinosaurs before school and taught me to drive in the parking lot of an abandoned mall. When I graduated from high school, he cried harder than my mom. He had this workshop in the garage where we'd build model airplanes every Sunday, and he'd tell me stories about his dad doing the same with him. I thought I had the best father in the world. Even through college, he'd call me every Wednesday just to check in and send care packages with homemade cookies and stupid dad jokes written on index cards. That all changed 6 months ago at my cousin Allie's wedding. Dad was giving a toast when this woman walked in with a teenage boy. Dad went white and dropped his champagne glass. Mom asked who they were, and the woman said she was Denise and the boy was Tyler, my dad's son. Turns out Dad had a whole other family for 14 years. Tyler was 3 years younger than me. The math was pretty easy to figure out. While Dad was teaching me to ride a bike, he was also buying Tyler his first tricycle. While he was at my basketball games, he was also at Tyler's soccer practice. Denise knew about us the whole time, but stayed because Dad paid for everything. Mom didn't know anything until that moment at the wedding. She walked out and filed for divorce the next day. Dad tried to explain, but there wasn't much to explain when Tyler looked exactly like him. The really sick part started after Mom moved out. Dad decided to bring Tyler around like everything was normal. He introduced Tyler to all his friends as his athletic son, who was going to play college football. He never mentioned I existed to these same people. At the hardware store, he told Carl, who'd known me since I was 5, that Tyler was the son who actually enjoyed building things with him. I was standing right there. Carl looked at me, then back at Dad like he'd lost his mind. Dad started posting pictures with Tyler on Facebook with captions about finally having someone who understood him. He wrote this long post about how Tyler was teaching him things about being a father that he had never learned before. My aunt called me crying because she couldn't believe her brother would write that. The breaking point was Thanksgiving. Dad invited everyone to his house and said he wanted to introduce Tyler properly to the family. He stood up before dinner and gave this speech about how Tyler was the child he'd always dreamed of having, someone who shared his interests and made him proud every day. He said Tyler was his second chance at being the father he wanted to be. My mom's parents were there. They'd driven 3 hours because Dad begged them to meet Tyler. Grandpa stood up and left without eating. Grandma followed. Dad kept going, talking about how Tyler was everything he'd hoped for in a son. That's when I decided Dad needed to lose both families. First, I reached out to Denise, told her I wanted to get to know Tyler better. She was thrilled because she thought it meant more money from Dad if we all got along. I found out that Dad had been telling Denise he was getting divorced for 14 years. He'd promised to marry her once I graduated high school, then college, then once I got a job. She'd been waiting for him to leave Mom the whole time. I asked Denise if she knew about Dad's gambling problem. She didn't know what I was talking about. I told her about his secret credit cards, the second mortgage he'd taken out, the retirement fund he'd emptied. All lies, but she didn't know that. I showed her fake bank statements I'd made showing Dad was $300,000 in debt. She panicked and started going through Dad's stuff when he was at work. She found the real bank statements, which showed he had plenty of money, just in an account she didn't have access to. She also found receipts for jewelry he'd bought that she'd never received. Turns out Dad had a third woman named Katie he'd been seeing for 2 years. Denise confronted Dad about Katie. Dad denied it until Denise called Katie right in front of him. Katie thought Dad was single and had been planning to introduce him to her parents at Christmas. Both women dumped him the same day. Tyler refused to see him after learning Dad had been lying to his mom their entire relationship, but that wasn't enough. Full story on channel, link below.